Good evening, everyone. My name is Louise Cameron, and I am a member of the Scottish Youth Parliament from Moray, and I'm the chair of the Scottish Youth Parliament. It is wonderful to be back in such a beautiful building, and I would like to start by thanking the speaker for inviting me back and facilitating this hugely important event to mark Commonwealth Day. I spoke at the YouthNet annual general meeting and had a wonderful experience in Northern Ireland over my two-day visit, so I'm absolutely delighted to be back. I'm especially pleased to note the theme of the event today, which aims to explore and celebrate the role that young people play in civic society and how we can further promote and enhance this role moving forward. I'm also pleased that we have been able to have this conversation in the context of the Commonwealth. Too often, conversations about politics and political engagement centre around the things that divide us and where our opinions differ. Regardless of your political views, the Commonwealth provides an opportunity to celebrate things that unite us and that which we have in common. Before exploring this idea a little further in the context of empowering young people and encouraging participation, I'd like to take some time to tell you a little bit more about how I became involved and engaged with the Scottish Youth Parliament. I joined the Scottish Youth Parliament in 2011 as a member of the Scottish Youth Parliament for Moray. The Scottish Youth Parliament is the democratically elected voice of Scotland's young people. We exist to provide a national platform for young people to discuss the issues of importance to them and affect the change they want to see. Members of the Scottish Youth Parliament are elected for every constituency in Scotland and several national voluntary organisations. Their role is to represent the views of young people in their areas through our national sittings, where we meet 3 times a year, and through our national campaigns. Our MSYPs are not affiliated to any political party. Rather, we represent the views of young people based on issues. As an organisation, we engage with thousands of young people every year through our national issue-based campaigns. For example, at the moment we are campaigning to raise awareness about child and youth poverty in Scotland and challenge the negative stereotypes associated with it. The elections for 2015 to 2017 term for the Scottish Youth Parliament are happening as I speak right now. Nearly 350 candidates from all across all 32 local authorities in Scotland, from as low as Dumfries and Galloway, where you will get off the boat from Northern Ireland, up as far as the Shetland Islands, and they're contesting for 146 seats. We speak with one voice. This is what attracted me to join the Scottish Youth Parliament. We focus on the issues that unite us, not the ones that divide us. I think that this is an issue that traditional party politics need to seriously think about for moving forward if they want to improve their engagement with young people. It is absolute nonsense to say that young people are not interested in politics because the electoral turnout figures for our age group are lower than others. That defines politics in a very narrow terms and in a way that is not representative. Through my work at the Scottish Youth Parliament, I know that young people are interested in politics. They are interested in issues and making a difference in their local community. They are interested where they see the relevance of what is being debated and discussed to their everyday lives, and where they feel that their views matter. I'll not speak for politicians here in Northern Ireland, but there is certainly room for improvement in Scotland. This brings me to the referendum, the R word. Although when we think about the involvement of the young people in the referendum, I think it is more accurate to consider it as a process rather than a one-off event. The referendum, by its very nature, was very different than other elections. It wasn't a choice between parties, but rather a choice between visions. For many people, it wasn't an easy decision. It involved very difficult arguments around many complex policy issues such as public finance, welfare, defence, and many others. We saw our role at the Scottish Youth Parliament as helping young people find information that they needed in order to make the decision, an informed decision that was right for them, to spark their interest and to help them realise that they can fundamentally shape the Scotland they wish to live and work in for years to come. This included pointing them to sources of information about issues such as voter registration, but it also included actively challenging both campaigns to go the extra mile and ensure that they were reaching out to young people. One of the most interesting events we organised was the Youth Cabinet event with the Scottish Government. This involved a large-scale event with the full Scottish Cabinet, including the First Minister at the time, Alex Salmond, and 150 young people. This event wasn't your traditional audience and panel event. Young people sat in small groups in a round-table cabaret style with cabinet secretaries and ministers. Discussions were more in-depth and detailed, and young people were able to ask the Scottish Government questions about the White Paper, but crucially in a more youth-friendly environment based on a safe space and mutual respect. There was a widespread consensus among civic and educational organisations in Scotland that the involvement of young people, especially those young people who were facing more challenging circumstances, was an absolute priority during the referendum process. The outcomes reflected the effort. Prior to the referendum, over 80% of 16 and 17-year-olds were registered to vote. That's 100,000 out of 120,000 eligible young people. The Scottish Youth Parliament alone engaged with nearly 20,000 young people face-to-face, and many thousands more online through our social media platform and online hub, which were a very important part of our engagement strategy. However, what has been more prevalent and more important is how the people of Scotland and civic society have engaged in this debate. Many people who have never voted in their lives or were once voters and have since become disillusioned have become engaged or re-engaged over the last number of months. What is more impressive still is that the debate has turned into one not just of constitution, but of national identity, civic pride, and self-determination. The process and the level of participation, combined with the extraordinary efforts to engage young people, is the real achievement from the referendum. And what lessons can be learned from the Scottish experience? Well, firstly, we know for certain that young people care about politics, certainly issue-based politics anyway. We know that young people want as much factual information as possible before they make their decision. They want to know how their vote will affect their everyday lives. This has been further supported by extensive social attitude research undertaken by the University of Edinburgh. We know that young people appreciate politicians making a genuine and meaningful effort to speak to them and directly answer their questions in an environment that is comfortable for them. They want to be confident that they are being given factual and genuine answers to their question based on a relationship of mutual respect. This is a major lesson that political parties need to learn and take on board moving forward. In addition, young people are less likely to engage with negative messages and debate. An interesting difference between the referendum and other elections is that both sides try to communicate a positive vision, certainly for the most part of the campaign anyway, because it did have its heated moments. In addition, we know how valuable education institutions, youth work, networks, and other voluntary organisations throughout society can be in terms of starting the conversation with young people about politics and why it's important to vote. Surely this makes a compelling case for much more robust and consistent political and civic education as a key part of the curriculum across all parts of the UK. We can now disprove all of the arguments made against lowering the voting age to 16, both through the experience from the referendum and from the large amount of research that has been published around it. This reflects the recommendations of the Smith Commission, which advised the Scottish Parliament should have power to extend the vote to 16 and 17-year-olds in the Scottish elections. We are delighted that it now appears as though it will happen for the first time for the Scottish Parliament elections in 2016. However, as young people, we need to take some responsibility. Yes, the politicians need to do more to engage with us and do it better, but we need to stand up and be heard. Initial poll findings from the start of the month from YouGov, commissioned by the British Youth Council, found that 2/3 of young people have yet to decide who they will vote for in the forthcoming general election. This gives us the balance of power in May. We need to use it. That is my message to all young people here today. Use your vote. I would like to finish off today by returning to a point I made earlier about focusing on what unites us, because there are many more things that unite us than divide us. The need for a good education, the need for job opportunities, the need for well-resourced local services. For young people to become truly empowered, for us to have our voices heard, we need to stand together. Join your local youth forums, campaign with groups that reflect your views, and get involved, because you all here today can make a difference. Thank you very much.